Hello Aries, welcome to Mind, Body and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do the reading for the month of December 2019. I hope you're well, Aries. We're in Sagittarius season, so it's a fellow fire sign. I'm sure you roll well with this energy. Let's see what's going on for my dear Aries. I hope you are well. So this is a general reading for Aries, Sun, Moon and Rising signs, right? If it resonates, it resonates. And if it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. Do not try to fit it in. Don't stretch it. And use your own intuition to see how the messages apply to your personal story. Very well, Aries. There's a lot going on. Jupiter is moving in Capricorn, I think tomorrow. And that's going to feel like quite a shift for all of us because Jupiter has been in Sagittarius for the past, I think, 1 year. And Jupiter is at home in Sagittarius, so we all reap the benefits of that one way or another, consciously or unconsciously. But Jupiter moving in Capricorn, I think it's in a way it's a good thing because Sagittarius is all about like the idealist world, the expansion, the go, and moving to Capricorn becomes more grounded, it's like, okay, what's going to happen? What can we make happen out of all what we've been dreaming of and idealized and seen in the Sagittarius season? And December is this exact shift, right? Sagittarius energy and then moving into Capricorn. So yeah, it's very interesting for all of us. All right, let's see what we have for Aries. So this is your current energy. This is your challenge. This is your focus. This is your advice. And this is where this is taking you. Sometimes. Bottom of the deck, the Eight of Swords energy. Bottom of the deck being sort of the theme of your reading, kind of what you're working with in this period of time, this December 2019. And you're working with your mind, obviously, of how to set yourself free from the self-imposed limitations that you may or may not be aware of. We can be aware of these limitations that we have, but sometimes it's not enough to get us unshackled, And that's quite a tough journey. It's really quite a tough journey. The Eight of Swords energy is one of the toughest in the deck. This and the Five of Pentacles, in my view. But yeah, that's what these readings are for, to be able to recognize where we are and to see what tools we have at our disposal to help us cope with the situation, right? I pull out the clarifiers before we get into the story because it's always a more 3D view. Alright, so we have the Six of Swords with the Nine of Wands as your current energy. We have the Princess of Cups with the Two of Wands as your challenge. You have the Four of Swords with Judgment as your focus. We have the Eight of Stones with the Magician as your advice. We have the Three of Wands with the Ten of Swords as your future energy. And bottom of the deck, we have Prince of Swords as your current energy. No, underlying energy, right? Fine, so let's talk through this, Aries. Eight of Swords and Prince of Swords. Okay, the Son of Swords in the south is called Aries in this deck, and I'm going to read to you what that says. Swords. Okay, so Osiris is a peaceful ruler. His crook and flail, just to see this better, I hope you can, indicate his power derives from his role as teacher of agriculture. He is in white as the first mummy and the lord of the afterworld. It means someone gentle yet persuasive, an initiate into esoteric mysteries and kindness. Yeah, in this deck, it's a very different archetype than the normal Knight of Swords in the rather Rider-Waite deck. So I'll read them as both, actually, because it's a combination of the two. So the Eight of Swords. We all know this energy. It's that feeling when we feel trapped, when we feel that we can't move on, when we feel that we don't really know what to do with our situation. We've been rationalizing and trying to make sense out of our reality using our mind a lot. And even though our mind has took us this far, at this point, it's really not helping us, you know. And with having the son of Swords here, the Prince of Swords, well, this archetype that I just read is quite different than the Knight of Swords in the Rider deck, which is a little bit more someone who's very impulsive, somebody who's very interested in the truth and only the truth, and sort of a bit insensitive, moving beyond anything that, like having not much emotional intelligence, let's put it this way. But in this deck, it's considered to be a kind person that understands what did it say, like agriculture. That means understanding understanding how the world works, understanding the earth energy, understanding the cycles. And by using this understanding, you understand that this is also just a phase and it's a cycle. It's an 8, it's part of the journey. And you're getting to your 10. And that's good. I know it doesn't look great in the picture, but don't just think about the picture. These pictures in the weight deck tend to be maybe a little bit too much sometimes. And it's like taking away from the meaning of the card in itself. The 8s talk about structure. The 8s talk about higher structure and lower structure. And it is energy of emotions, actually. And so this has to do with how you're feeling emotionally. It's a mind emotion relationship here. So maybe your body, because we actually feel our emotions in our body first, is telling you something. See, she's all dressed up in red here and she's blindfolded and stuff. So I would say listen to your body and listen to this wise part of you that knows how the cycles work. And knows how this is what you're learning this month. You're learning how to get out of here. Okay? Yeah, let's go through it. Let's learn. Current energy, 9 of Wands with the 6 of Swords. And this one's called science in this deck. So there's obviously a learning of some sort. And I think you're really learning how things work, but you're taking it as a rational understanding of it. It starts making sense to your rational mind, which is great. We need our mind to be our ally here and work for us, right, rather than against us. But yeah, so your rational mind starts seeing that you are maybe fatigued and tired, that this is a 9, and you're supposed to go to 10 and the cycle, but you feel like, holy moly, I'm so tired. I've been wounded in this journey. This is like the wounded warrior, right? I've tried my best, and you know gone so far, and yet I feel like I have no energy to move on, to finish this cycle, to end this learning process so I can begin another. And this energy is like driving you a little bit towards this, okay, I've learned all these lessons from my journey, and I know exactly what I need to do and when I need to do. But because you've been through it all. But that also can have the downside of not giving the benefit of the doubt to people maybe in your life that are approaching you and maybe becoming over defensive, to having like prepared statements for pretty much everything. So that means you're not really being present for in the moment for what's going on. So you're not really ready to just respond, but you have like you have a programming there that just takes over. And I think with the Six of Swords talks also about moving away from a way of thinking, starting seeing the signs of it, starting to seeing the technology of our bodies and our minds and how it works. Yes, you've been through all this. Yes, you've learned a lot. But you can't get stuck behind this fence you've built. You are required to keep moving. You are required to keep learning. You are required to notice your wounds, be aware of your programming, and welcome it all in, really, actually. This is not about purging something that's bad. No, this is about, okay, I see you. I see that I'm being over defensive. I see this person has a wound right on his head here. And that's this wound. I see where I feel powerless. I see where I have no control over my reactions. I see when my programming takes over. That's what the Six of Swords does. And that means also that I identify less with this. The moment this is part of the process. As I start seeing it, as I start observing it, and I stop judging it as much. Well, the first step is actually I have a huge emotional, like feel very emotional about it. Oh my God, of course I suffer like this. Oh my God, of course I defend myself like this. Look at the wounds. But then also as part of the process, we're starting to identify less and less with this and be like, okay, yeah, I understand. It's okay. I see the programs running. Fine. I don't really know exactly how is that going to play out, but the moment I gain awareness and aware more, I feel like I create more space, and that's more space for something that's completely new. And without striving too much to change the experience, but keeping paying attention, I observe that slowly, there's going to be more space for responding rather than reacting. And there's going to be space where I can improvise. And when I can do something different, that's when change will come. And even though it's not the best solution all the time, it's not necessarily solving all your problems suddenly, is still creating space for new strategies, for some type of change, and for breaking down some of that programming in order to get to the real self, in order to get to beyond the masks and the shields, to the core of your being, and have that take the decisions, not your programming, not your typical defense mechanisms. And as you start seeing this, you're given a choice of how to act in your life on a daily basis. And we're like, okay, here I created all this space in my being. I see first, I just watch powerless, pretty much how my programming takes over, and my shields just getting raised as I'm getting triggered, as I'm going like closer to my wound. But I feel like I have literally no control. Fine. But then you notice it again and again and again and again, and you're not shutting yourself down. You're not trying to feed the situation either. You're not pushing it away. You keep observing. In this space is being created, and you see the gap for this choice that you can make. Okay, now I can react a little bit different. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? You can come up with something really stupid, but it doesn't matter. It's still something different. It's the first part of this unshackling. But it's challenging. This is your challenge position. You see that you have the choice. You see that the world is in your hand. And the Princess of Cups talks about compassion and about kindness and about wisdom. And you know that you can make the choice of being kind, whatever it is that comes up to you, within you. And that first choice needs to be kind to yourself. Usually. As I see the parts of me that be kind even to the programming. Be kind to the all aspects of myself. But this is challenging. This is challenging because it's like still everything happens so fast. These swords are just like feels like they're it's a very fast moving energy. And one's is also quite fast. So when I'm in this climate where I'm feeling like a little bit overwhelmed and overpowered and really really wounded, maybe it's actually really hard to understand where that moment of choice comes in. Because there is a choice, but that choice can only be seen when I'm grounded enough and when I'm slowing down enough to be able to see it. When I've put in that mindfulness training work in place, when I'm constant with my by training the observing mind and training to not necessarily take my thoughts for granted. That's not coming just like this because I tell you that, oh my God, you're actually powerful, not powerless, and you have a choice. It's not going to enable you to just like that. Oh yeah, I have a choice. I'm doing it now, and suddenly all your life changes. It's a process. It takes time. And it takes a lot of like watching powerlessly how we do the things we do. And that's okay. That's how we build up awareness. That's how we build up the resilience to be able to sit and to be able to approach the parts of us that are doing these things and are over defensive. But if I don't develop a relationship, or if I'm denying it, if I'm pushing it away, if I'm complaining about it all the time, then then there's no chance for that growth. So this is a necessary part of the process. And don't worry about this. Like you will start developing compassion, you will start developing awareness more and more. And this moment of choice, which is sometimes a little bit uncomfortable because we don't really know what to do in these moments. But with this comes also that awareness that I don't need to just settle for whatever. I can start making choices that really accommodate my real needs. And with the Princess of Cups here, like you start feeling through those needs more at an emotional level. Your emotions are information. When you feel really uncomfortable, is an emotional state, listen to that, but don't go to the first conclusion that it's everybody else's fault or that I'm powerless and I have no choice. It may sound like a contradiction when I'm saying that yes, it's a necessary part of the process and we feel powerless in the moment when we start seeing our programming. And it's going to take a while to have this moment of real choice. Be consistent, stay with it. We'll get there into your advice. This is just to see where you're at, right? You're in this space where you're seeing it, and then you're in this space when it's becoming difficult to see and make that choice, and especially to welcome this with kindness and loving awareness. Because we tend to be terrified of our own programming, and we feel very shitty in this place of, oh my god, I have no power. Your focus, though, is your own rebirth. Your focus is a pure assessment of where you're at, a pure assessment of how this had been playing out. But you see, the Judgment is a card of drastic change, and it's liberation. You're finally setting yourself free of this, because this is part of the process. This is how we start shedding skin after skin after skin to take off those huge walls that we build against the world, and to go to the beautiful core of our being, where the love is harnessed, and we can nourish ourselves from that, where we can be open rather than constantly closed, where we can connect from a place of from the heart space with the world at large, and with the people in our lives, and with ourselves especially. It's a part of integration as we shed off the skins of programming, and it brings healing. Look at this angel. He's like playing his trumpet, and these people come out from their graves, and they're receiving salvation. It's a blank new state. It's a number 20. It's an end of 2 cycles there of 10 each. And with the Four of Swords in this deck is called Truth. I think that through this process of true, it's a type of awakening that you're receiving. Part of you that was dormant is finally coming into awareness, and your mind starts like capitulating here. It's finally it's taking a break from preaching to you how you should be, how life should be, how your reactions should be, how you should feel, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah, this Four of Swords is really allowing your mind to settle a little bit, and to go into reflection and maybe meditation, and it's not forever, it's just a break. It's a little bit of a retreat in order for your mind to welcome this huge moment that the Judgment brings, rather than to push it away and to build up resistance. This is a type of surrender. You're surrendering to the this moment of awakening, and that's what brings the awakening. And look at this with your advice. I mean, like, hell yeah, with the magician and knowledge, eight of stones, right? Your advice is that you do have the knowledge. You have the knowledge. You have everything on the table here. You have the pentacle, you have the cup, you have the sword, you have the wand. The magician has, look, this infinite symbol above his head. He has the knowledge of the universe. He is connected to her, to the higher, higher wisdom. That's not, if I get stuck only in the swords, when I'm stuck into my mind, yeah, I may get the wisdom of the mind, but I'm missing out the wisdom of the rest. If I'm stuck in my emotions, then emotions become my authority, and then I'm becoming the victim of my emotions. If I get stuck into the swords, into the pentacles, I then resources and financial resources, and become very materialistic, and with the ones to idealist, and to maybe a little bit of a militant for belief systems and religions and so on. But the magician has them all. It's that balancing act, because you get the wisdom of all of it together. It's a wholeness, being whole. So this process is actually woo, la la, good, really, really good for you. This is your advice, though. Draw wisdom from that knowledge. You know what you're going for. You have the tools, and you have the understanding. Trust that. Do not give your mind too much credit. Do not fall into the wounded warrior archetype either. Do not identify too much with neither one or the other of these elements. Only together they make sense, like full sense. That's when the rebirth is happening. That's when we are able to unlock the next level of our evolution of consciousness. And that definitely unlocks the next level. See, you have the Ten of Swords here with the Three of Wands, and which in this deck is called Virtue. So you're finally allowing a part of your this programming that's been acting out to retire. This persona that's showing up in certain situation whenever your wounds have been triggered, that's been a defense mechanism that's probably start working against you at this point, is finally capitulating completely. And though it's not a fun process as it happens necessarily, because you have the knowledge, because you have the understanding, it becomes a virtue, really. You start understanding that you're shedding off skin after skin after skin of this habitual way of being that's on an automated pilot. And you start becoming more powerful. You start understanding that you're not stuck in here, really. This is evolution of the mind. And the evolution of the mind is always going to surrender mode. So it's something to be celebrated, really. See, here it shows the darkness of the night, but then the sun is rising and a new dawn is coming. And you're going to feel lighter. And See, this is two of wands, and this is three of wands. You are you're starting acting from the place of empowerment and choice, and you've made those choices. And your choice here, I think it's really to be present. Okay, let's say what Rumi says. My dear Aries, it's number 34 and it says Lila. I'll read a little bit for you. Okay, wow, that's a long poem. So the poem from Rumi being a Sufi poet, look him up, he's amazing if you don't know him. So Lila, put aside your clever schemes. O lover, be mindless, become mad, dive into the heart of the flame, become fearless, be like a moth. Turn away from the self and tear down the house. Then come and dwell in the house of love. Be a lover, live with lovers. Clean your chest from all hostility, wash it 7 times, then fill it with the wine of love. Be a chalice for love, be a chalice. You must be all love to be worthy of the beloved. When going to the gathering of drunks, be a drunk, become a drunk. Your thought takes a course, dragging you in its wake. Move beyond thought. Let your heart lead, be the leader. When the grace of love is revealed, be a mirror to reflect it. When the beloved's hair is loosened, brush it like a comb. Be a comb. Nice. And it does make sense with the fact that you really need to be mindless here. You need to let go of what feels like the mind authority. So this oracle brings you a message. You are moving through a period of not knowing, of time. See, she's also blindfolded here. Of time in the great void of womb of the Divine Mother. It is in this place the seed that can crack open and take root. This cannot happen in the light where all is seen and recognized. It must happen under the cover of darkness where only trust can assure one of success. This is the way of nature, the way of life, and it must be honored. This is the way of nature and the way of life with the Prince of Swords, what we read earlier. This oracle brings you ancient wisdom. Osiris, this is ancient wisdom. It guides you not to fear the darkness, but to enter into it willingly. It is not for you to become lost, but to find your way. This oracle is saying that in the darkness there is the path, the tariki, tarikat. This darkness here. Do not turn away from it. Let it be. Be with the lack of knowing. When people ask you so many questions and demand sensible answers to support their notion, worthiness, and fear, know that their minds may be fearful for your safety and their own, lest your divine madness be contagious, but that their fear is nothing to you, nothing at all. It is not even anything to them, but they just don't know that yet. This oracle brings you guidance. If you find yourself to be sad, to be grieving, whether you know for what or not, or even depressed or struggling, feeling as though you are being pulled down, do not fight. Bear witness instead. You're being pulling down here. Allow this to happen. Allow what is taking place to take place. Allow what is happening to happen. You shall find the joy in allowing the interplay of darkness and the light to take place according to the greater unfolding rhythm of your own divine growth process. It makes a lot of sense. Well, I really, really hope you can draw wisdom from this reading and to understand how this process works. I do think the ones that resonate with this reading do, because that's in your present moment. That's why you have science here. That's why you have the Prince of Swords here. Trust that knowledge and understanding and trust your process. All right, my dear Aries, I wish you have a wonderful December. If you resonated with this reading and if it's helping you in any way, please like, share, and subscribe so my channel can grow and more people can have access to this type of readings. Have wonderful December, happy holidays, and happy new year.